We took a slight break there. just
Leo nafikiria asubuhi ndio dressaje lakini anyway.
Ukaza bro. Guys, we took a slight break there to just indulge with the meal. If you're catching us, imagine going to start from the beginning. Don't just continue this conversation here. So, Sam, you're telling us about Mr. Kashu, the amazing James Kashu, and the impact that he's had on your life. So, ulikuwa nasema ati story alikupeleka Lodero for the first time.
Hey, mazee, yani sikuwa najua place kaizo zina exist. Hata ile meeting ilisha ilibaki nitoke mbio sana, sikuwa najua mathiri mtu uchukua wapi. So maochi njiani wananiambia panda hapo.
Oh, this time you've not bought a car, eh?
Hey, you guy.
my guy.
Sangapi? Sijapata deal yangu ya kwanza ya kuchapa gari at that point.
Excuse me? Okay, so at this time you've not bought your car, eh? Na gari
meeting inaisha huko mali ujui.
And Lodero is in huko Runda.
Alafu naenda Ronga. So lazima nichape afya center at a certain point ndio nipate ma 3.
But also he must have opened up the kind of people who he was hanging out with. It must have been like the who's as well.
Oh yeah. I mean that was that was at the top, of the country. Like those were the people who were decision makers. But at the same time, he was one of the most, like people would go like some of the decision maker in these countries were not the best of the best people. That's true. But James stands apart. And that's why his name is not spoken a lot on the newspaper, because he doesn't have drama and chaos and all of that. He's just like, so let me tell you something. A year or 2 years ago, when Jack Ma said, I want you to find me men of integrity across the continent. People who don't have scandals, people who don't have political issues. I based my search on James.
I
had no other benchmark. And that's how we ended up with Strive Masiwa. Okay, because he matched the benchmark for James. That was the benchmark in my head. I was like, okay, you want people like James Kashu. And so
if James Kashu is alive, definitely.
Oh my goodness.
Never two ways about it.
We probably shouldn't have gone to Jack to do this. We should have done it with him.
Yeah.
But I honor him so much. I feel like that reply to my email changed me so much.
Sam, what made you, let me ask this question. Yeah. What gave you the confidence, or what, not even the confidence, who do you think you are that you wrote to him? or the question should be, what was the obstacles that you jumped for you to believe that let me just even try?
First, I'll say this. I wrote that email for close to a month, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
It wasn't one day like wake up with my morale, type it out and send. It was like you're playing cards and you have this one card and you put it on the table, that's it. And so I wrote it. I rewrote it. I Googled how to write an email professionally. I wrote it again. I put too many words of just pity parties. I removed them. Try to get straight to the point. I remember going through this process because it has happened again and again in my life. And the minute I sent that email, I sent it knowing that I had nothing to lose. My brain went through that whole motion like, what is the worst that could happen?
He'll say no. If you don't ask, it's already a no.
It's a no.
So nothing changes. In fact, if anything, it will change it to a yes.
Zero. Yes.
Man, that starting from zero.
Yes, so send it. And that's it. And I've done that a lot.
And we're going to hear more about it as we continue the story.
So he responded. He took me to some of these places. He taught me how to behave. In the sense like he would pick my call. Even like me, I'd call him and he'd pick my call. Like, it's so, still in this, don't think that mnakuwa mabeste sasa nyinyi mwaswa kugotana na pana pakuwa na heshima na mentors wako.
Yep.
Create a sort of a distance, respect them as if they're like your parent.
Yes.
So you don't get that close. So you don't even just pick a phone and call them just because of nonsensical issues. Think carefully. Your questions matter more than the answers they give, because if you ask the wrong question, you get the wrong answers, or you get to disconnect. So think of so.
Man, what you're talking about are lessons of a mentee.
Yeah.
Behaviors of a mentee.
Be. When somebody tells you, try this out, you go try it out and come back and say, hey, nimejaribu ikufanya imefanya. Give feedback. There's a lot of small things that I picked up from there. But more for him was humility. The humility, number one. The value he placed on his family, number two. I don't have to mention the daughters' names. They're amazing human beings, right?
June, Angie, the big sister.
They're really amazing. And I wanted my kids to be like that. I wanted to be successful, but I also wanted to have my kids be like well-rounded up kids, not caught up in their own, place. So I learned that from him just because he'd come with the family during the end of year party sometimes. I learned the humility of just quietly just talking and just being in places fitting in places just smoothly. There was a way he was just smooth. Like he'd come into a room and he doesn't have to own the room, but his presence is also felt. There was a lot of small things you pick. You know, sometimes you don't pick the hard lessons, you pick the soft lessons. At this point, Buddha had to joke to me, a woman, a kisu. I mean, like, like, second guess. Like, juice baby ulikula, Sansha master sausage, lakini kuku. Unakulaje kuku na kisu?
Na prawns.
Kuna vitu zingine so una watch. Kwa table, una pick.
So
unaziadopt. So I mean like unajua hizo ndio zile tutapika ambao watu wa understand unapika. Ama response ya msee akiulizwa swali, you know, vile anafikiria unamwangalia, vile ana process thoughts zake, unaona vile ata avoid certain things. So kulikuwa na vitu ndogo. I mean, so he didn't teach me business.
Yep.
But he taught me, you know, like these are the things that I just picked along the way.
Yep. Every moment, every time that he's talking is a teachable moment.
Yeah, and I'm there to listen because I'm like, this is such a privilege to be here. Like if I tell my boys like James alinipik na gari yake, mazee they will be like, what?
But you also
because alikuwa to chairman.
You also had the understanding of who you are with, and you accorded honor back to him.
I did. Whether it was out of fear and quite maybe I should have asked more harder questions, maybe I should have driven myself a little bit, but I still worry even today. Like today I have a mentor who is so amazing, just like James, you know. But the thing is that I still find myself second guessing myself. It's okay. I think it's okay not to be so sure of yourself.
Yep.
It's okay to even make mistakes because I've made so many with my mentors. Sometimes I thought they were going to walk away. You know? And so I did make a few mistakes here and there. I had a bit of an ego because of that deal. For me, you know, so a lot of people will be like, it's okay. But I asked myself, what can I give back to a man who almost has everything in my view? I can't teach him anything. So this bill is my way of saying thank you. And it was a very powerful thing because you also did it with me one day. Yes. I think a couple of years ago, you did the same thing. And I was like, you left me like, I was like, I mean, it was so much honor when you walked up to me.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you remember.
I think I remember.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you walk up to me and it was exactly what I used to do. And you press my hand and say, thank you very much for opening up a digital space for the rest of us to work in. And you leave. And on my hand, I have substantial amount of money on my hand. I didn't know what to do with it. You left me so lost. And it was such an honor. And I remember because I'm not saying it's a giving of the cash, or it's just the respect that you accorded me. And I remember that even then with James. That was my way. I mean, and that's a way that it's not about just money. You could press 5 sock or 2 sock, or you could just leave a note and say thank you.
I do. Do you remember that day?
I do, because very few people in my life have that type of respect that I have met that is genuinely and had never interacted with you. There's a lot of entitlement to the younger generation that they don't feel like they could even write a thank you note, or that could say something that makes you think, oh, whatever I told you was useful. I mean, like it also, there's a feedback loop that needs to happen. Not financial,
Yep.
just that information that what you did with me worked, so we can increase that with other people. Anyway, so James, that was for me and James. James, like, let me just put it for this particular moment. That having to pick the right type of person to listen to sit on the feet of the right people. I don't know how to put that statement. It's a really powerful thing. It's so powerful. Remember Willie Sowala? He started me off with the magazines and then mentored me. What I didn't mention to you was that when I got the job with for Sahanet, I hired him.
Yeah.
I remember I paid him $500,000 Kenyan shillings.
Oh man.
And he came through for me again. And he was older than me. He's the one who got me those PC magazines, got me to tell my mom where I could go to college, got me my first job in the company where he was a senior manager. I left. Later on, I hired him.
And you didn't hire him because he did those things. You hired him also because he was the best.
He was the best of the best. He was smart. He was clever, strategic. He sat down.
And he delivered.
Oh yeah, totally. And so,
that's crazy.
I have always sat down to listen to what he has to say. And then there was James in my life. And then remember the pastor before that. There's always been all this. So one of the things I can tell you, there's no self-made person. We are made up of pieces of other people. Whether they are the best pieces or they are their worst pieces depends on our circumstances. So again, who you choose. Some people are made up of the worst people they have ever made. anger, issues. Other people are made up. Other people are a combination of both.
That is that must have been an amazing period. And this happened for a period of time, huh?
Yeah, it happened for about, actually we didn't go for more than 5 meetings with James.
Okay.
But we talked a lot on the phone.
He was accessible.
Yeah, he was accessible
To
and
you.
had a question. He'd be like, no, I don't think that's the right thing to do or whatever. So he holds my hands and takes me to a Rotary club, Langata. And he hands me over to somebody I also respect a lot. It's called Alex Nyaga.
I know Alex Nyaga.
He says, Alex, this guy is your responsibility now. But then Alex was the president of that Rotary club, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
But he was one of the founding presidents. And so there's this group of men who are older than me. Now suddenly I was listening to them more. And then I joined that club, and then I was appointed to the board. My first appointment to a board in that club to serve.
Hey.
Amazing people. All of us were young, all of us. Now suddenly, that's how I found myself in the network of some of the most ambitious people I've ever met the first time. I've met a lot of networks, but that was my beginning of meeting ambitious people. And so everybody, we were not driving, The one guy there, and friend of mine up today, gave me and a few other of my friends a lift to town in his Mercedes. We had never. I remember James' car was not a Mercedes. I don't remember it being because I remember being in a Mercedes now. Hey Buddha, alitudrap pale hivi, alituuliza to drop wapi?
You're like that smell.
Tumeka hapa na mabesto wangu watatu. Tunaenda Ronga. Oh no, that time msiendi Ronga. That time naenda Ngong Road. Hawa wanaenda Langata. If I'm not wrong. Ulishuka pale hivi Kimathi Street pale hivi. Tukamwangalia kidriver lakini alishuka hapo ndio tu access material. Tukasema Buddha. One day was this Sido. Hey, I'll never forget. And now he still laughs at it because he doesn't realize him giving us a lift was such impactful to us. But the club had such amazing people. I mean, I'd mentioned their names, they know themselves. And when I was giving up in business, they'd tell me, "Well, when I give up, Nini." So always being in a network of people.
This and now this one is almost just slightly older than you. So almost your peers.
They were older than me. Most of them 5-7 years old.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So Rotary was powerful in that it showed me how to work and serve. Like we'd be in Kibera, we'd be where I was Mugumoini in Kibera going to support football clubs. So there's something about Rotary that I picked back into my business at Nailab later on. It was just that service to humanity, just being with people, helping them with knowledge, information, encouraging them, bringing guest speakers. Rotary taught me that. And that. So I was the director of vocational services in Rotary Club. And I'd encourage anybody who's young, join a Rotary Club. Your mind will change about wealth and service above all. Because sometimes I'd work until 11 o'clock. And then from 11 to 2, I'm in a school doing talk with Rotarians. Then we have lunch and go back to the office, wrap up and go. So which means I had to wake up quite early. Learning how to be in a board meeting. I didn't know how to be a board member before Rotary. Now I knew how boards are run. So when I got into a board, it was not difficult. It was a smooth transition. I mean, Rotarians have normally they don't have this barrier. So even James was a member there. There was other people who were powerful in Kenya who are members of Rotary Club. You just meet and say, Rotarian who? I love that experience. Find yourself a social club that you can join that can help you, if you're young, that can help you open up your world. Even when you're broke, even you're the only one who's not driving, the one who lives in your one-car bedroom and everybody else lives in Karen, just go there. Some of these people are very accepting. And you will get to learn a lot because you're not there to compare cars, you're there to actually do service. And anybody can do service. So I'd encourage people for that. So that was my Rotary experience.
So now you continue with business. You're in Moi Avenue, you're saying?
I'm in Kenyatta Avenue, Uganda House.
Oh yeah, Uganda House. So where does this work? Actually, now at this time, where is the digital landscape of Kenya?
It's growing. Right now it's growing fast. Cyber cafes are there. People are putting internet in apartments.
It's moved from dial-up.
It moved from dial-up. Wananchi came over and made dial-up really cheap. And now it's also on phones.
Okay.
But it was expensive. Safaricom, I believe, was a bit expensive. I think now it has opened up.
And what about the tech space? Or is there other elements of tech
now
cropping up?
At this point, we don't know what's where because everything has spread out now.
Okay.
There are a lot more players.
Yeah, it's no longer a bubble. It's no longer just all the players.
And then a friend of mine says, there's a meeting being held on Ngong Road in a place called the iHub. Have you been there? I was like, no, I haven't been there yet. It's like, yeah, they just opened a month ago. Come over, let's meet there. Ndio tuende kule nyama mahali. Just the usual. Me, I was like, okay, are they techies? They're like, yeah, they're techies, you like them. Man, I walked in there at the iHub, there was a meeting. I found my world.